Hello.
Hello.
Who are you?
I'm Tentacle Panther, the extra-dimensional what the duck full of stolen thoughts and memories.
I love that. I love Tentacle Panther. How you doing?
Not too bad. Excited to be here, really.
Really? Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So, you are one of the few people who actually watches my interviews when I post them online. And because of that, I'm gonna have to do something a little special because who knows if you've memorized my list in its order?
I think I could probably get I'm gonna confidently say I could get at least 50% of the questions if I tried to write them out.
Okay. Well, instead, I'm gonna ask that we roll a d20.
Okay.
Do you have a d20?
Yes. Within
Okay.
arm's reach.
Yes. So, whenever you want a question, roll that d20, and that will indicate the question on the list to then ask you.
And if I roll a 1, the interview ends immediately and you are no longer my friend.
No. But anyway, you rolled a 2.
I rolled a 2.
I gotta look at my list, don't I? I have a list.
I'm going to show you this radio, but it's incredibly loud, so after you get to hear the sound of it, I'm going to throw it in the furnace.
Okay. 2 is, what do you do? Oh gosh, that is loud.
What do I do? I am an entertainer. I do my best to be entertaining. And, like, yeah, at heart, just about everything I've got can be traced back to that root. It takes a little creative interpretation at times. But,
oh good, it finally stopped.
Yeah.
It was hard to hear you over that.
That was a real fireproof radio.
It was a fighter. But okay, so you're an entertainer.
Yes. There's a through line. There's an instinct. Since a very early age, I have been living as though I am on TV.
This stuff will never come out of the carpet.
Can you speak more on that? Like, what do you mean by that?
Well,
I'm guessing you were on the losing end of this battle.
I guess there's two sides to it. There's you see in a sitcom, someone looks around, it's like, oh, well, nobody's looking, I'm gonna do this. And then you, the viewer, are just like, I don't want to sit through 20 minutes of this agony, watching the consequences of this decision. And also, there's things that would just be funny. And so I will do or say them, regardless of whether there's an audience.
Okay, fair enough. So is entertaining the only thing that you do in and outside of the internet?
Well, like, I don't know. I feel like this may blend into one of the other questions, but you know what? We'll go for it now, just in case the other question doesn't come up.
Okay.
The entertaining thing, is that all I do? Well, yes, in a way, it is all I do. All things that I do are entertainment of a fashion. Because here's a story from when I was like, I don't know how old, maybe like 14 or 15, mid-teens somewhere. I had a dream. In the dream, I woke up, went downstairs, it was on or near my birthday, and nobody was there.
Oh no.
The whole house was deserted. All I could find was a series of sticky notes telling the story that, like, hey, your friends and relatives have set up this giant birthday quest for you around the town. You'll have to follow clues and find everybody to see what's going on. And I was thrilled. This was, like, you know how in dreams you can be the happiest you've ever been? Because the emotion turns up all the way. Yeah, I was like, it was one of those crushing disappointment to wake up dreams, because I woke up and realized that no, someone was not going to do that for me.
No.
And on that day, for me, you know, I had to confront there is no inherent magic in the world that is there without being put there. There's nothing, no
Now,
forgotten mystical dragon to go and encounter. Anything that is there has to be put there by somebody.
Yeah.
So from that point, I made it a goal, a quest. It was one of the purposes in my life was to put things out to be found so that someone else wouldn't have to realize that.
Aw, I like that. That's really sweet. Do you feel like you've had much success on that front, or are you still working on stuff?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it doesn't all have to be big things. There are lots of little shenanigans that fit. Like at work, working with kids, they'll say, "Can I go to the washroom?" And I say, "Sure. Don't catch fire." And the first time or two, it's pretty great. The first time or two they hear it, they will just like, what? Why? Why are you warning me about that? What is the purpose of this? Is that on the table? Why? And they will often confront me. Why are you saying don't catch fire? And I say, because I don't want you to catch fire. I have, like, if you catch fire, that's a whole lot of work for me, and also, like,
A lot of
burns. I
paperwork.
don't want you catching fire. Don't catch fire.
medieval.
How would that even happen? I'm not gonna give you instructions to go catch fire. No, I said don't do it.
I love that.
Yeah, they still occasionally peek up about it. I think one of them might still think I have an evil twin out there somewhere.
You might.
He's
Who
quite young.
knows? So here's a question that's not on the list. If there
you
was,
got a
if you did
split
have an evil twin,
personality.
would you be the evil twin, or would it have to be someone else?
Nice
Couple of
shoes.
branches here. First off, there is someone of whom I have been referring as my evil twin since shortly after graduating high school.
Yeah.
Because looking at him and looking at the choices he makes in life and the way he approaches things, he's like very much just me, but a few switches are
That
flipped.
smell makes me
Huh.
hungry.
Interesting.
The vignette I will tell to convey
now
what
I
kind of a
feel
person he is I was once telling him a story of like, oh yeah, this happened and then this, and he cut me off, finished the story wrong, and then said, I know you too well. So,
Yeah, no,
that
that
kind of guy.
yeah, okay. Oh, I see that. Yep, I agree.
11, that's not 2.
11. Okay. How do you react in uncomfortable situations?
I get real quiet.
Yeah?
I get quiet and I start looking back and forth. What are my resources here? What are the problems I may need to solve with these resources? And what are the hazards to me?
I wish,
Not entirely survival mode right off, but it gets close.
yeah. It sounds like, so did you have someone to teach you how to do that, or is that something you just learned through life?
I think that's something I learned.
Okay.
There may be some bearing on it because my family, overall, we are rather witty. So anything that you say is something you have just said. So you might have to back that up. Or you might
Oh.
get dunked on for it if it's a bad take.
Okay.
So, if I'm on uncertain footing, I stop putting things out until I know what I am putting out and where I want it to be.
Okay. I think that makes sense.
Another childhood story to bring back.
Okay.
It's not broken.
I remember seeing. I was very young for this one. I remember seeing on TV a celebrity being met by somebody, and like all these people were just so freaking out excited because, oh my god, I get to meet this person. And then I saw that everyone was being charged scads of money for this, like 80, $100 just for a handshake and a meet, maybe an autograph. And I looked at that and I was like, no, I don't like that. They are not using that power well enough. I'm gonna do better.
Oh, okay.
For this shit.
How would you do better?
The adding magic. The taking the thought to... Well, it's like the stuff that you would hear of Bill Murray doing. Like, he leans over and steals half of someone's sandwich at an airport and then looks them in the eye and says, no one will ever believe you. Or he shows up to a party and says, like, hey, I'm Bill Murray, I saw you were having a party, I'm here now.
I see,
like, yeah, that's...
Just be a little
the chaotic,
spontaneous.
unexpected, like, hey, there is something in this world that is independent from the effort that I personally am putting in. Something might just fall from the sky for me.
I see. And you want to be that catalyst for someone else.
Yeah.
I like that. I hope you achieve that.
Thank you.
And there
5.
again.
5. Okay. Why do you make things?
Why do I make things? See, here's where we got to the, we already sort of answered this.
But,
And
continue.
I'll skim it, I'll summarize. Because in making things, the effort that I put into it is partly rewarded by the effort of it. It is... I'm sure this is going to be a weird term to say it out loud, but it is a joy of the flesh. Like, if you're doing a push-up, well, if you're doing a bunch of push-ups, that kind of sucks. If you are climbing onto a rock just for fun, the strain of that in your muscles is, kind
Switch the oven on.
of a good time.
Yeah. Okay.
Even
yeah.
if it's not something that is normally, like, burpees suck. However, if you are jumping between things and then crawling under other things, that's sort of the same motion, and feeling that burn in the muscles is a joy, and not just because you're getting stronger. It's not just because of the output, but the feeling of using the body to its capacity for its intended purpose in a non-destructive way is just like, yeah, this is nice. It's like watching a clock run.
Yeah.
It's like watching a little stream flow.
Okay. I like that. That's a very good description of that. I like that a lot. Thank you for
Oh,
sharing.
to answer the actual question, though. Partly because that pays back the effort, and the other part because if it takes me 1 unit of energy to produce this, but when somebody gets it as a surprise gift, and they get 1.1 units of joy out of it, then that's a net gain.
Okay.
That is time well spent, because it is overall, the strife that it caused me to create it was less than the joy it brought someone else to receive it.
Okay. Ready for the next
18.
one? 18. What excites you the most?
I guess the first thing that springs to mind is at work. Somebody new started working there. I made a lazy pun about their name, and then I asked, "Are you sick of that one yet?" And they said, "Yes." I got a good laugh out of that. And also the kid that I was sitting next to, and this is like 6-8 months into working there. The kid looks at me and says, "I think that's the first time I've seen you smile."
Oh,
So
that's really cute.
So I do like being cheeky.
Yeah. Be a little
but
snarky.
I'm not sure that's really Not sure that's really enough of a life goal to say it's the most exciting thing.
But it makes you happy. It's something that brings joy to you and the life that you live.
I'm still not entirely satisfied with that answer because it was not profound in the way I wanted it to be.
I see.
But
Okay.
also I've got that complete blank for what even else is there to say. So I think yeah, it's time
Okay.
to move on. 7.
7 is who is someone you like?
I am very, very fond of Juniper Ram.
Yeah.
He is a good.
A good
The thing I would like to highlight about him here is that he's very much on that radical acceptance train.
okay, what does
Like,
that mean?
hey Juniper, I'm thinking of starting an OnlyFans.
Oh, I
Okay,
see.
cool.
I see.
Hey Juniper, I
Okay.
did this. I don't really agree with that at all, but like, yeah, I hope it made you happy.
Okay. Yeah.
Like,
I
hey,
like
you want to
that
do this?
trade.
That's really not something I usually do, but I guess I could try it. 'Cause he's you know,
Yeah.
he's very much the sheep. You start to push and you just get wool.
I see.
Wool all the way down. And it's like gradually increasing resistance if it's something that he's really not comfortable with. But otherwise it's a very soft, either he's got you for this, or it's like yeah, he's got your back, or otherwise it's just a very soft response. A very I accept this but have no interest in it. 14. I am amazed
14.
I haven't had any more doubles since the start.
Outside of race, gender, and career, how would you describe yourself?
All right,
It's-
I hitched on that one. I know what
Okay.
I want to say, but it's difficult to say it because it is, in my opinion, rather self-serving to have such a high opinion of myself as my opening definition. And it is, I see myself as the hero.
A blind monkey could
In
see
the
better than this guy.
in the JRPG sense, the guy with the class hero
Uh-huh.
does a little bit of everything, and every party member is then a specialist in that.
Ah. Okay. What aspect of that do you align with the most? Is it the ability to do a little bit of everything, or something
Not
else?
just the ability, but the obligation to do a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Like in a creative medium, you have to do a bit of everything. You have to be the editor and the cameraman and the voice and the writer, as you are no doubt aware.
Yeah. Very much aware, yeah. I guess. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for your patience. I feel like there's more to this, if I can track it down.
Okay.
So, there's also one of my fondest memories in video games was playing Cycle Frontier with my, friends and relatives. At one point, my cousin, because that's the best I can do to remember what that relationship actually is. Cousin. I keep bringing things to the wrong spot. My cousin said, oh, I found somebody. Oh, shoot, I'm in trouble. And there's that status update. He got to the point of, I'm dead. And he actually wasn't. He had said it a second before because he didn't see a way out. And it was the just be aware that I'm not here to help you anymore. Status update, I'm dead. But
Yeah.
I just happened to be hurtling in at maximum speed. I managed to get there in time to... Having fun?
Yeah.
Managed to get there in time to take a bullet and then get him out of that jam.
I
So
see.
being that last second right there was... That is really, really, that's what I live for. That's the kind of thing where you have to pay your dues of living normal days to have a day that good. 18.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's fine. Evens are odds.
1. Oh, we're not friends anymore.
No. What frustrates you the most about life?
It frustrates me that the incentives of living as a person can very much have a negative impact on like the state of living as a person. To go with an extreme and silly example, a stranger in a white van offers you your favorite candy.
Oh.
And the incentive there is to keep yourself safe because this is a stranger offering something that may contain more than just what is offered. However, if it's the truth, there's no way of knowing that. And there is no way of finding that out because that is an insurmountable incentive to not do that. There will never be someone who finds that out. I better take what I can get right away before the whole thing disappears because I can't trust other people not to make this disappear.
Yeah.
And in doing that, everybody makes it disappear when it didn't have to.
You want to roll again?
18!
18! Alright, hold on. What is your most prized possession and why?
I have a most expensive possession, is probably my VR stuff. I think my most prized possession would probably be... I have one particular knife, which I tragically learned later on is almost an exact replica of the knife from Scream, which I watched, and I just don't really like that movie. I almost hated the Halloween costumes, and I don't really care for the movie either.
But you have a replica.
Well, it's still a very pretty knife. And I like having my knives. I like having my knife, well, I've got my little fold-up pocket knife that is with me all the time. It feels like not having fingernails when I don't have that thing in my pocket. I think the significance comes from it has a story to it, and that story is very much in line with the story of me. Because it was a graduation gift for myself. Back when I decided that I would not buy any more knives without a specific purpose for why I needed that one.
Okay.
And the specific purpose of this one, I'm graduating. I deserve to buy myself something fancy. And it is a bit of agency in the world. Probably the most significant moment I ever had with it was I was in a previous living situation in not a good place. And I was in the kitchen just suffering because I was making dinner and the kitchen knives we had were just thinly stamped sheet metal pieces of garbage. I was immensely suffering from having these terrible knives as the only things I could work with. I wish I had an actual sturdy kitchen knife to work with. I wish I had a knife. I do. I do have a knife. And it's not the easiest thing to use a knife with a... There's a solid finger guard on this thing. It is... You really have to be at the edge of the counter if you want to chop right down to the surface with it. But having this solid knife that would not wobble and bend and threaten to break every time I cut a potato, that was very much reclaiming agency in a bad situation.
Yeah. I like that.
9. Haven't rolled that one yet.
What do you like about yourself?
I apologize in advance for this display case I am about to break.
Oh no.
I missed. What do I like about myself? How I can find a way to play. Because I fundamentally believe that playing is how we learn to interact with the world. And that extends not just to babies figuring out that feet exist, but also to the art gun. the artist who made a whole bunch of models around the Weary 101 with Takahata and all them, they have really done some playing around in the concept of making this art. Like, they, as far as I can tell, started the wave of chibis. Artgun made another one where they kept the facial rigging, but instead of putting it on a face, they just put their facial features on a puddle of goo. So it's like, it's one of those days. Model becomes puddle of goo, and they just stream like that for a bit.
I see. I like that.
That is very much playing in that space, and in doing so, they're the first one to do it. They're advancing the whole medium. 11.
What about yourself inspires you?
I would say it's the fact that I have managed to make myself go out and do things. Because in high school, that was a real, like, I had a friend crush on one of my friends, because, like, and I specify friend crush, not regular crush or man crush, because those are distinct feelings, not passing judgment. They're just the different one. It was like, oh man, he goes out and does stuff. He goes out and canoes. It's not just that he like chooses to go out and do that recreationally. That's so cool.
Yeah.
He's got a bird feeder full of 22 bullets because he shoots at squirrels on it. Actually, his whole family does that. That's a family activity.
Wow, interesting.
The squirrels are not supposed to be eating from that bird feeder. Yeah, so at this point, I have managed to go out and do things. I went to a night market at a pole dancing studio and got myself a pair of shorts that are... It is night and day how much more hip mobility I have in these things. It is delightful. I can actually get thigh grips. Actually, no, it's horrible. I can actually get thigh grips. Ow, 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 ow. I hate thigh grips so much. But
why did I want this?
Exactly. And, like, also there's the other downside of, like, whew, this... I would rate the fit of these shorts as sorry to anybody who didn't ask to see that, and you're welcome to anybody who did. Okay, anyways. 20.
20. What is something you're proud of?
Something I am proud of. I will say that it is something I have completed. And so what are some things I have completed? I am proud that I have on YouTube, and have for quite a number of years, an animated chess game that I made in high school.
Oh.
3D animated, whole thing completely from scratch. It was also the origin of my obsession with the phrase, extrude NURBS. Because that's a button that I made quite a bit of use of. What in the world is this?
What does that do?
Oh, it extrudes the NURBS.
Of course.
I ended up with a lot of hurling horn designs, because you take one polygon and then it, like, stretches it out and curls it around.
Are you proud of it because you made it, or is there something else to it? Just...
I am proud of it because I made it, because it turned out nicely.
Okay.
Also, I am proud that I've been keeping up the streaming for 2 years.
That is true. It's, that's been a thing that you've been doing. And have you been enjoying it the last 2 years?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I occasionally glance back and realize, like, oh, wow, I really have come pretty far. 14.
What is something that scares you?
It scares me to think the thought of being ostracized from spaces like I used to be on a cheer team, from like the pole studio, being ostracized for being a creep. And it scares me even more to think of that happening for a good reason. The idea that I might be so unaware of the effects of my behavior that I am become a monster and have no concept of it.
Yeah, that is pretty scary. Have you encountered that before, or is that just something that scares you?
I have encountered something like it before. But as the years go on, I consider the source and, you know, don't accept criticism from people you wouldn't go to for advice. And this person very much fits that description.
I see.
16.
What is the hardest thing you've ever had to overcome?
I think that would be the lack of agency that I felt in what I have come to refer to as the bad year.
The dark times.
I was in a, like, not a great place physically. It was just a very small apartment. The price was right, but geez, the landlord was not. You know how, I don't know if your grandma did this, but you know how the stereotypical grandma, especially the stereotypical Asian grandma, will just kind of wander into your house and judge your life choices and then wander off after telling you to do the dishes?
Yeah. I have not experienced that, but I know the stereotype. You did that on a regular basis?
Yeah. Oh, and also her husband, every time he showed up, like, I'm pretty sure it's her husband. He was, like, the handyman maintenance guy. But, anyways, every time he walked in, he would tell me to eat less. Pat me on the belly, say, it's like, when you eat, don't eat 100%, eat 70%, eat 80%, and then put the rest away for later. And then from that, you don't have pat, you don't have this. You get strong like me. And I'm like, sir, I'm on a university sports team and I lift people for fun, sir.
My
also,
goodness.
a woman who I presume to be their daughter came in with her 2-year business degree and gave me a 20-minute lecture on how to make a business out of being an actor.
Ah. That's the advice you asked for.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So there was that. Yeah, so that was the situation I was in. I had...
That sounds miserable. I'm so sorry.
90 square feet in that whole building that the landlady could not walk into with no warning. I asked her once, like, hey, could you give us a heads up when you're gonna show the place off? And her response was, you can't legally force me to do that.
No, I'm asking. Nicely.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
I'm glad you're not there anymore. That sounds miserable.
Me too. I distinctly remember a shining moment of hope. It was a summer of, oh man, I'm gonna be 5 minutes late for class. I will sit on the step of the house for another 10 minutes breathing heavily because it's too much. But also, at one point, in a dark room, laying sideways on a bed that just had this big pit in the center of it. Terrible bed, desperately needed to be replaced. Laying there, sort of sideways on it, watching YouTube on my phone, I encountered a video called "And the Raven Brought Fire." So this is a thing that was made by one person. One person
They put
sat
effort
down and made this thing until it started to exist. And now this is a thing that exists.
Yeah.
And so it is a thing that can be done now. That a person can make something that matters this much. And so laying there, that was the start. That was the start of the upslope. That moment. From there, things were still bad, but from there I started counting. It's like, okay, today I am completely out of commission, I am completely non-functional today, not going to class, not doing dishes, not doing anything, maybe even going out and buying food. I am out today. But it has been 5 days since the last time this happened. And the time before that was 4 days. And the time before that was 4 days. And the time before that was 3 days. So that was the part where I started getting out.
I see.
16 again.
16. Alright.
12 again. We'll go with the evens and odds.
No, I got this. Look, I know what I'm doing. I'll get you a new question.
Cool.
How do you take care of yourself?
Often through food. Often through making sure that I am booking my one class a week at the pole studio, which technically, my membership entitles me to 2 And I really ought to
Ooh.
be doing that, but you know, I make sure I get out at least once a week to get that exercise, to be in a place with other people.
Socialize.
Yeah.
Do you make things?
Yes.
You do.
I have been doing a little bit of everything except cooking lately, come to think of it.
Really? Okay.
I have done some physical art. I recently saw a sheep ornament at the dollar store, so I bought that, some painting supplies, and some modeling clay, and now I have a juniper on my shelf.
Aww. That's
Yeah,
very sweet.
That was actually my birthday, was just having a little paint night. I very much enjoy making memes to provide to people based off things they have done or things that made me think of them.
Oh yeah, I have a couple of those on my Twitters.
I am partway through the process of recording a podcast, a
Nice.
scripted podcast called The Stargazer Initiative, in which I play Captain Phillips.
What is a question you wish for me to ask you?
What is a question I want to be asked that I haven't been asked yet? Ask me my aesthetic in context. Like
Aesthetic in
those-
context?
Yeah, so
What does that mean?
the example I will give is, what class do you play in an RPG?
Ah.
Or what gun do you use? Is there a video game weapon that you really vibe with? How do you always find yourself solving puzzles in Tears of the Kingdom? Something in that neighborhood, but specifically one that speaks to you.
I see. Okay. What's your general aesthetic, I guess, of who you are? Like, how would you rather present yourself in day-to-day life? Like, if money was no object, how would you display your personal aesthetic?
I guess I do have an answer for this, but I'm not sure if it is a universal enough experience.
Well, you can describe
actually make
it.
any sense, because I say I would go for older brother vibes, but maybe
Okay.
not older brother, maybe older cousin, and maybe specifically my older cousin Jamie.
Okay.
Because like when I was little, he was a fair bit older. When I was like 7, he was in his 20s.
Ah, yeah.
And so
Okay.
He was that, like, he had an actual sword. He had Ocarina of Time on an N64. He had a 3D video game system. And
yeah.
it was so cool. He had tattoos. He was like super cool.
Yeah.
And cool in that way of I don't really follow what's going on here.
Yeah.
It's like I did not understand what Jamie did. Like, cool, he's so neat, but like, what was his job? What were his interests? I don't know. I just knew him there as that presence.
I see, yeah. Just that cool guy. That,
Yeah, but cool
Yeah.
guy with the trappings of he does something, but I don't have the context to know what it is. Something I have done to fit or cultivate with that aesthetic is I bought myself a leather shoulder rig.
Oh.
I've got a set of pockets that I can just wear. It looks almost like a holster set, but it's pouches instead of holsters.
Okay.
And I like it a lot. Partly because it is something that I can actually wear and get use out of because it's extra pockets.
Yeah.
It's extra pockets and it's not a backpack. I can put it under a jacket. I can put it on when it's just like super hot and I don't want a big sweat mark down my back from wearing a backpack. 11.
11. We have done 11. So in that case, let's do 13, which is who are you?
Well, as I mentioned at the top, but sort of stuttered, so let's see if I can do it right this time. I am Tentacle Panther. The underscore is important. The extra-dimensional what the duck full of stolen thoughts and memories.
So why is that your intro?
Because it's catchy, it sticks in the brain, that I am a what the duck. And the stolen thoughts and memories part is because I really liked / identified with Cortana
Mm-hmm.
back in high school.
Yeah.
And also, it holds true to how I see my place creatively in the world. Where, again, back to childhood, I thought, like, man, how... It's so hard. It is so hard to be original. There's, like, nothing new that's left. Everything
Yeah.
is already exists.
Yeah.
There's nothing new.
Uh-huh.
But looking at things that were really good, well, it doesn't have to be new. It just has to steal little bits from a lot of places. If you take 100% of something, well, that's just copying.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take
That's just
5%
plagiarism.
of 20 things, that's a phenomenally fascinating world that has been built. Here I am, full to the brim of stolen thoughts and memories. And the reason that it matters is because I am the one who is curating them. I have chosen which ones to take, and the way that I am putting them back out. So people come to me not for the things that I have taken, because they get those in other places. They come to me for the way I put them back together again.
I like that a lot. Well, thank you for doing this with me, Tentacle Panther. I appreciate your
Thank
company.
you so much for having me.
I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed.
I did.
Is there anything else you'd like to say or mention before we wrap up today?
I guess I will say one thing is that to anyone listening, and to you yourself, if you need to hear this,
Mm-hmm.
every single thing in your life that you just barely managed to struggle through is something that you have done. And even if you didn't complete it, it is something you have survived.
I'm assuming that if you reach this part, you probably would like Tentacle Panther. So where can people find your stuff?
I can be found on Twitch at tentacle_panther, just like an actual underscore. Don't write a UNDE. Don't do that. I can be found on Twitter at tentacle_panther. I can be found on Discord.
Well, thank you for being here. I'm glad you
Thanks
had
for
fun.
having me.
And till next time, thank you. Take care.
Toodaloo.
Yeah, right.